Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and today I'm here with Brownells Daily Defense to talk to you about suppressors in modern day usage. So, in our last video, we talked about silencers and suppressors and kind of where they came from and how they work. And in modern day usage, where do we see them being used a lot? Well, we see them in actually three different main categories. We see them in military and law enforcement operations, we see them in private ownership, and we see them into hunting worlds. So there's a lot of different ways that we can see suppressors and silencers being used. The most important thing that you take away from the use of a suppressor is it's designed to help bring about some additional source of hearing protection. Now, one of the things that I do comment about is that most of the time, particularly with rifles, you still need to have some sort of hearing protection. But here's where it kind of is important and valuable. If you're going to choose to use a suppressor for a home defense weapon, this is where you're really going to see the benefit, because trying to discharge a firearm, particularly a rifle cartridge, indoors is extremely loud. And at least having a suppressor on that particular firearm can greatly reduce the overpenetration and the hearing loss that you're probably going to experience from discharging the firearm indoors. Now, the other thing that I have talked about is I'm a big fan of how suppressors help to reduce new shooter anxiety. With the reduction in the sound and the rapport and the recoil, it kind of helps to give that new shooter a positive experience for the first time going out to the range. And that's going to hopefully encourage them to come back and do more on the range. When you're looking at it from the law enforcement and military application, one of the other things that is very valuable is by reducing the sound signature, it allows me to better communicate with my teammates. So that's one of the other advantages. If you're thinking about using this for home defense and you are using a suppressor, you will still be able to communicate with people in your homes, perhaps trying to tell your loved ones to move to their safe space or to go ahead and get down. You will be able to do that. They should be able to hear you in that process. Now, there are a couple different types of suppressors. The most common ones that you're going to see are the integrated suppressor and then what I just referenced as an add-on suppressor. Integrated suppressor means the firearm is literally built around the suppressor. My very first experience shooting any type of suppressor was with this type of suppressor, and it was an MP5SD. And it was a lot of fun, not going to lie, but it was also very interesting to learn about the dynamics between that type of suppressor versus the add-on suppressor. So the add-on suppressors can either be a direct thread or some sort of quick-detach method, which has pros and cons. There's good and bad to both of those. The direct thread generally means that that suppressor is going to be used on that weapon only, whereas the quick-detach allows me to use that suppressor on maybe this firearm and that firearm and a couple of other firearms, so long as I'm using the same type of muzzle device. So the next thing we talk about are the muzzle devices. And what you're going to find is that most suppressors have a integrated muzzle device that works with their brand or family of suppressors. And there's value in that. That means that you can interchange suppressors or interchange rifles or interchange the different weapon systems that you want to use with the product. And what I have found is that most of the time I get by with just one suppressor that I just transfer to other firearms, and it makes my life a lot easier. Most of the time when we are shooting the suppressors, we forget about one of the other benefits to shooting that suppressor, which is that it does have a positive effect on increased accuracy. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that could be. One of the easier explanations is the fact that by tamping all the gas, it helps to create a more pressurized departure from the muzzle end, which would be the end of the suppressor, which helps to kind of give you a more consistent departure for that bullet, which helps with the accuracy and the precision. There's a lot of different theories behind all of this, but one of the things that I've experienced myself is I have seen an improvement in my accuracy or my precision, the tightness of the shot group, when I've shot with suppressors. Now, one of the things that I look for in my selection of suppressors is that I can take the suppressor on and off and not see a significant shift in my point of impact. So one of the reasons why you might see a shift in point of impact has to do with the way the bullet is traveling outside of the the suppressor's use. Another thing that you might consider is that by adding the suppressor, you're adding weight, which means that the rapport or the recoil impulse is slightly changed from when there's no suppressor in place. One of the things that I have found to be kind of like really easy with my suppressors, at least, is that my rifle grade suppressors, I don't have to do a lot of maintenance to. Because of that high pressure from the cartridge being fired, a lot of times it's quasi self-cleaning. A lot of that debris is being blown out with each round that I'm firing. I still recommend that you still take care of them and realize that just shooting a couple of rounds through a suppressor can heat that thing up to significant heat. And so what you want to be careful about is that you don't accidentally grab the suppressor or let the muzzle hang close to your body and touch your body. You're going to want to be very careful, and I recommend that you at least shoot with a pair of gloves in the off chance that you do grab, touch, hold that suppressor after you fired, especially a magazine. Now, a con, if I had to find one with suppressors, is that there is a lot of hoops that you have to jump through to be able to get to owning a suppressor. There's a tax stamp that you have to pay for. There's also a weight that is a natural byproduct of the process of submitting to get the form approved to be able to take possession of that particular product. So realize that there's a little bit more entailed with those types of items, but in many cases, I find them to be valuable. And we are seeing an increase in suppressor interest, which is a good thing. Hopefully more people find the value that I find in shooting with suppressors, and they pursue purchasing them or acquiring them on their own. So if you've had a good experience shooting your suppressors or having your first time experience on the range with a suppressor, please feel free to share it down below. We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to post any other comments. Until then, take care and stay safe.